Hello, friends. It is I, Teacher Sharby, and I'm here with another lesson on how to subtract mixed number by mixed number. We already know what mixed numbers look like. It should have a whole number and it should also have a fraction. And being that we are working with two mixed numbers, we know that we need to change them into improper fraction. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's find out what are the mixed numbers. I remember we're working with unlike denominators, meaning that our denominators are definitely not the same. They're going to be different. So our mixed numbers are 3 and 3/4 minus 1 and 1/2. In this case, we are going to find equivalent fractions. But remember, you can do equivalent fractions, you can do your bar model, which we went over in how to subtract mixed number by fraction. And you can also find your LCD, or you can work with your fractions and then go ahead and subtract your whole number. Or you can use the chart method where you have your whole number world, you have your fraction world, and you're working from there. The chart method, I let's look at it in this example because let's see, you have whole number, you have fraction, you have 3 and 3/4, and you'll have 1 and 1/2. Your sign is subtraction. We are not going to subtract as yet because right now we have two fractions where our denominators are different. And we know that when our denominators are different, we need to find our least common factor. So we need to set these equal to something. Just by looking at it, you can tell that your LCD is equal to 4. So set your fractions equal to 4. Since you already have 4 in your denominator, you know that you're not going to change it. Keep it the same. And you multiply 2 times 2, and then 1 times 2, that's equal to 2. And now we can subtract. Notice that I'm not changing the order of my numbers. I'm keeping my order the same. I started with 3/4, so I keep 3/4, and then I have my 2/4. And now I can subtract. I can also write it like this. If this is easier for you to understand, then sure, why not do it? Take away 2 from 3, you're left with 1, and your denominator is 4. So now let's go into fraction world, put that there, and now we can subtract our whole numbers. Take away 1 from 3, you're left with 2, and that is your answer, 2 and 1/4. But let's see if we get the same thing when we find, which is the same thing that we just did. We just didn't put it in the charts. So let's break it down a little bit more and then let's see if we get the same answers. Find equivalent fractions of your fractions. We have the multiples of 4 and the multiples of 2. And like we said, our least common denominator or our least common multiple is 4. 3 and 3/4 is the same thing as, that should be 3 and 3/4 because we did not change. So let's change that to a 3. 3 and 3/4 is the same thing as 3 and 3/4. 1 and 1/2 is the same thing as 1 and 2/4. And now we can go ahead and we can rewrite this. Keep your denominator just like what we did before, and we're rewriting our new fractions. So 2 minus, or 3 minus 2 is equal to 1, and keep your denominator as 4. And then you're going to take away your whole numbers. Take away 1 from 3. You're left with 2. So your answer is 2 and 1/4. And you see, we get the same thing. So whatever strategy you use, you should always, always, always get the same answer. If you don't get the same answer, then you need to go back and double check. There are some instances where your whole number, actually that only applies to whole number minus fraction. So forget that. Let's look at another example. Here's another example. We're still working with mixed number minus mixed number, and we're still looking at unlike denominators. You have 1 and 3/4 minus 1 and 1/2. So you want to find equivalent fractions. This means that you're only working with your fraction right now. You find multiples of your denominators. Then you do look for the least common multiple, and that is 4. So you're going to set your fractions equal to 4 as your denominator. 3/4 we're not going to change. You're going to keep it because your denominator is already 4. 1 and 3/4 is the same thing as 1 and 3/4. Now 1 and 1/2 is equal to 1 and 2/4. Now that your denominators are the same, you are going to keep your denominators and focus on your numerators. So you have 1 and 3/4 again, minus 1 and 2/4. You're going to subtract your numerators. You're going to take 2 from 3. You're left with 1, and your denominator is 4. Then when you look at your whole numbers, which are 1 and 1, subtract them, you're left with 0. So your final answer is 1/4. Thank you for being a part of this lesson. I hope you learned something from watching this and trying examples on your own and rewinding and going back and, all that jazz. I hope that you learned something. If you are still confused, go back, watch this again, and try some examples on your own. All right, see you in the next one.